Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to KNDI ATRI Live. So allow me today to begin on a personal note. So I was born and raised in a home where food was not just a daily necessity, but it was an experience. My mother, she's a cateress or a caterer, and her inspiration came from my late grandfather, who was a chef. May his soul rest in peace. Through them, from a tender age, I was able to start enjoying and appreciating well-cooked, balanced, thought through meals that were made at home. So despite all this, at a very tender age, I was able to get basic culinary skills. Being a curious child, apart from just asking how the food was being prepared, I equally asked, this food that has been prepared, how does it function in the body? And it's at this point where my dad, a chemistry teacher, came in and showed me the aspects of science in everyday life, inclusive of food and health. So basically, interestingly and amazingly, this created a foundation for my love and passion of science in food, that is nutrition. Which brings us to our topic today. Where does professionalism begin? Does it begin from class? Or does it go deeper into mentorship, your childhood experiences? Or does it begin from leadership? So indeed, the future of the profession of nutrition and dietetics starts from student engagement and from platforms like KENDSA. So today, we are delighted to host a guest who's going to talk about how student engagement and leadership platforms like KENDSA have influenced the practice of nutrition and dietetics as a profession in Kenya. So welcome, Omollo, karibu sana.
Thank you.
You can proceed to introduce yourself and give us a brief overview.
Thank you so much for having me, Madam Laura. I am George Omollo, the founder and president of Kenya Nutritionists and Dietitian Association,
Yes.
which is abbreviated as KENDSA.
Yes.
Now, I have a rich background in pharmaceutical sciences, nutrition research, media, and conference organization,
Yes.
which I've done proudly for 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the reasons that made me found KENDSA was to find a way to bridge the classroom learning to real life practice.
Yes.
And that was what has brought us here. And we've done it so proudly. And we've seen the changes that KENDSA has done to the profession, especially the pre-service.
Yes.
And we are looking forward to do much more. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Being the founder of KENDSA,
Yeah.
it seems like it's very passionate.
Yes, it
Could
is.
you kindly maybe elaborate more? What is KENDSA? What does it stand for?
All right. Actually, KENDSA is, I can describe it as my baby.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's a dream that I had when I was in second year at the university. You see, I'd come from a different course, professional course. And the course that I was doing then, because I came from a pharmacy background. The pharmacy background had a very well organized, student participation in terms of association that was very strong and vibrant. Now, when I came to this other end, I saw nothing like that was existing. And I found, a lot of students, even upon graduation, they don't have a very strong footing into the profession.
Yes.
Most of them, they do not know where to start. Most of them, they do not know who to go to, because mentors, there's no pool of mentors where students can go and reach out to them.
Yeah.
Then I was like, why not think of something that can bring them together? So I came here to KNDI office and I met Dr. David Okeyo.
Yes.
I told him what I was planning to do. I sold the idea to him and he was very impressed, actually. He said it's something that he's always wanted to come up with for a very long time. So it was a dream come true for him.
Yes.
And he had my hand from registration of the association in the attorney's general office.
Yes.
And to where now we were able to stand by our own and even start hosting conferences.
Mm.
Yeah. So to your question, which you asked, KENDSA is an abbreviation to stand for Kenya Nutrition and Dietetics Students Association.
Yes.
So basically, KENDSA represents all the students who are pursuing nutrition and dietetics in Kenya.
Mm.
And those students who pursue nutrition and dietetics in all the accredited KNDI institutions.
Yeah.
The institution has to be accredited by
Yes.
KNDI.
Mhm.
And there are about 90 accredited institutions right now.
Yeah.
So you can see that is a very huge number.
Mm.
Very, very huge number. And we are proud to hold their hands, to be able to expose them to the profession,
Yes.
to be able to pair them with their mentors who, of course, are KNDI licensed practitioners as well, so that they can open their eyes before they get to the profession or before they graduate. So by the time they're graduating, their footing is now is already been made easier.
Yes.
So it doesn't become as difficult as those who are, there before us, because they found it so rough.
Yes.
So now I think their funding is much more lighter, which I'm proud that KENDSA has been able to achieve.
Yes.
Yeah, and we've done this through various platforms. We have a flagship platform where we pair students to the, like say, mentors, and we call them, of course, the mentors has to be KNDI accredited or licensed professionals.
Yeah.
That's one. Now, again, another thing we've opened the doors is through the national conferences. And these conferences give students platform where they can be able to present their research work.
Yes.
And this is something that was not there before. So at least now we give students platform where they can, present their work to a multitude of 500 students. And not just students, we also have professionals in the midst of those students.
Yes.
We have policymakers in the midst of those students. We have, their lecturers also in that platform. And of course, the Ministry of Health also is involved.
Yes.
So it's a good, so you see, by the time they come out, they're already courageous enough, they know what to do. They can be able to communicate scientific information very fluently and, with a lot of, oomph. And I'm happy when I see that happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now, from your conversation, you mentioned Kenya Nutritionists and Dietitians Institute. And ideally from it, just to go deeper, it's very clear because from the beginning, it was there.
Yes.
This relationship.
Yes.
How is it? What is it? How is KENDSA related with Kenya Nutritionists and Dietitians Institute?
Well, the relationship, I can say, is very cordial.
Yes.
Very professional. And the relationship started when I came here, knocking the doors of Dr. Okeo. When I came to sell the idea of this wonderful idea of KENDSA, that's where the relationship came. Then we've changed correspondence ever since, and we are talking 4 years right now. When we wanted to register KENDSA, one of the requirements by the Attorney General Office or the Registrar Office was that we get a letter of no objection from our regulator. Okay. For us to be registered. So I had to do emails to Dr. Keo and tell him there's a requirement here for us to be able to register, that we obtain a letter of no objection and a letter to show that KNDI actually recognizes KENDSA. Yes. And they know of the existence of KENDSA. Yes. And Dr. Keo did not hesitate. He did the letter immediately. We were able to take it over to the offices, and we got registered. So all I can say is that KENDSA is a vibrant student organ of KNDI. Yeah. That's the best way I can define it. Okay. And KNDI is our national regulatory body. Now, in terms of our relationship, the relationship has been very strong. It's a very symbiotic kind of partnership. Yes. Yeah, which also this relationship makes sure that our students, they don't just graduate knowledgeable, but they graduate KNDI ready. And what I mean when I say they graduate KNDI ready is that at least they'll now be able to, take nutritional national discussions or policies to a different level, something which they were not able to do some few years back. Yes. So at least now they've been exposed to the scientific discussions, they've been exposed to the professionals, to the corporations in the field. So when they graduate, it's not that about I have knowledge in nutrition, but you have more than knowledge. Yes. You can now engage into scientific discourse and discussions, including national policies. Yes. On areas involving nutrition. And that's what we call KNDI ready. And besides that, since now we can call them KENDSA alumni, they can also be able to, propagate the student leadership,
Yes.
to the policymakers and let them know, as much as we are professionals, but students also have a lot of stake in this discussion. So they also need to be involved in that journey.
Yes.
And that's what I call KNDI Ready. So that partnership has enabled that to happen. So when they don't just graduate with knowledge, no, they graduate beyond knowledge. Yeah.
That's very interesting. So for how long has KENDSA been around? Since when?
KENDSA has been around since 2022.
Okay.
But we were legally registered in September 2023. It took us a year about to get fully registered because there were some other requirements which we did not have. One of the requirements is that we had to be compliant in terms of KRA compliant. We had to get compliance certificate, which of course takes some time. Another way was that we need to get the list of all members in all the 90 accredited KNDI accredited institutions to show our strong membership.
Yes.
And that does not come easy.
Yeah.
So we have to get a list from all these institutions.
Yeah.
And that letter has to come stamped with the letterhead from those institutions.
Yeah.
Another thing, we had to make sure that they were also requiring for signatures. They were looking for physical office, letter of no objection from KNDI. There were a lot of things, which took us some time to gather everything. But eventually, with the help of Dr. Keo, the CEO of KNDI, eventually we were able to get registered. And now we have a registration certificate. And I can probably say we are operating legally into this sphere. And students should be happy whenever they call themselves members of KENDSA, because it's a legal entity.
Yes.
And also being a vibrant student body of KNDI, fully recognized by our regulator.
Yes.
So we are operating as per law, and we are also operating as per the statutes that has been provided to us by KNDI.
Yes.
Yeah, because Dr. K wrote to me letters and gave us 3 conditions that we need to operate within. And one of them is that we had to operate within, the rules and the regulations of KNDI. And there were some statutes which were given to us that we need to follow. And KENDSA was supposed to, serve the pre-service academic performance. The pre-service are those who are in institutions learning.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we need to do, we expose them to the professionals already in the market.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
So as you can see, the relationship has been very cordial.
Yes.
And very powerful.
Yes. And so I'm right to say KENDSA is a fully registered association with 90 chapters translating into at least 90 accredited training institutions with students.
Correct.
Which means your influence is widespread, Kenyan-wide.
Yeah, actually, our influence is widespread. And in fact, if you can take a single class, let me give an example of Kenyatta University.
Yes.
If we do a numeration of the number of students from first year to fourth year, about 150, 200 students in total.
Yes.
That's just one university, one institution.
Yeah.
Now, if you are supposed to do that, we calculate with 90 institutions. That number is so big.
Huge number.
And then maybe we take numbers of TVET. TVET usually is, 3 years. You can subtract a few hundreds from there or a few thousands. Again, the numbers. So we are talking about more than 15,000 students.
Yes.
So it's a very huge number. And I believe with this number, we can do a lot of good to advance the profession of nutrition and dietetics.
Yeah.
We're still not yet there. But I know we're in a space where we can do a lot much good. In fact, we can even influence policy, nutrition policy in this country.
Yes.
And that can happen through the nutrition conferences that we do have. So after the conference, through the abstract presentation or the conversation, the keynote speeches, we can then summarize everything into a call action points. And then we take them to the policymakers and say, this is what our professions are saying.
Yes.
And this is what we want to be enacted as policy.
Yes.
So that number is significant and it's powerful. And we can do a lot of better good to enhance, the profession of nutrition dietetics in Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And it's indeed true that KNDI and KENDSA have a really strong relationship, given just the previous conference that occurred last month, was it?
Yes.
Yes. So apart from the conference, how is KENDSA preparing students? Because we are talking of more than thousands
Yes.
into the profession field. What are some of the things KENDSA is trying to, because again, you've highlighted very well, before 2022, we never had a student association.
Yeah.
What makes the students 2022 onwards different as career progression wise compared to those before 2022? How is KENDSA preparing students for their career?
Right. Well, what I can say that KENDSA is transforming students into professional leaders.
Yes.
Because remember also KENDSA is being led by student leaders. And these students leaders, we have executive leaders who are about, I think, 10. But then in all the local chapters, we also have representatives who also report to KENDSA. So we are talking every university, in every chapter, we have at least 2 representatives that report to the executive of the national body.
Okay.
So in all those numbers, those are professional leaders we are trying to build. Now, apart from transforming students to professional leaders, what else we are trying to do, we've been able to transform, the practice of nutrition in so many ways. One of them through our flagship project, which has been pairing students to, like I mentioned earlier, pairing students to, professional mentors. So this is good because it helps to expose the students to what they should expect after they graduate. Another way is through our national conferences, which we've been able to expose students and give them a chance to, present their groundbreaking researches, to nutrition professionals in the public. Another way we've been able to do that is through webinars. We actually do 4 webinars in a week, and we've done that for the last 3 years.
Okay.
4 weekly webinars. In a week, we do 4 webinars, and we've done that for 3 years now. And these webinars are coordinated by professionals. So students just come in to participate, listen, ask questions, learn. So they're run by professionals who we go and search. We approach, we ask them to come and assist us. And we have topics that cut across all the areas in nutrition and dietetics.
Yes.
From malnutrition, TB, autism, all those areas. And if I can tell you the number of webinars we've done for the last 3 years, it's going to around 350 that we've done. Another thing that we've done is we have international collaborations. I can also probably say that when KENDSA was founded, we actually motivated the other, regional countries and universities to do the same. Because when we launched KENDSA, the good thing is that, our young generations are very tech savvy.
Yes.
So they're very innovative.
Yes.
So KENDSA has had a very good social presence in LinkedIn. We are very TikTok. So through those platforms, our regional students are able to see what you're doing. So in 2023, we were approached by Makerere University, Department of Nutrition and Dietetics. They were asking us how we came about the idea, and they want to collaborate with us. We've been approached by University of Ibadan in Nigeria. We've done something with them. We've worked with Chalambani University in Zimbabwe. We've worked with the university in Zambia, Ghana, Rwanda, Tanzania. And recently, last month, we had a collaboration with Ethiopia, Iwasa University in Ethiopia. So, which means we are now opening the networks of the local student to the international borders.
Yes, true.
Something which was never existing. And you see, as much as we may say malnutrition is universal, but again, there's some other aspects in where other countries are dealing with it, which is not the same as the way we are dealing with ours. So we tend to learn a lot what is happening in those countries. What are the curriculum looking like? Because again, the curriculums are never the same.
Yes.
So we've opened that borders to our students. In fact, we even collaborated with the European Nutrition and Dietetics students. We've had a collaboration for 2 years running.
Yes.
So we've also not just within our continental borders, but also to the European borders. And that's something that we've done to our members, which I'm so much proud of. So we are not just building local students who will become local professionals.
Yeah.
We are building professionals who will become international professionals.
Yes.
So they'll be ready to serve the international market.
Yes.
Since now they'll be already been exposed to those markets. Something else that we've launched recently is a professional toolkit. And this involves, we are teaching our members on how to accurately write their CVs to be able to make them, conspicuous in the the market.
Yes.
You know, in the market, most times CV sells even before someone sees you,
Yeah.
because the impression of your document speaks a lot.
Yes.
So we brought two professional, HRs and people who know how to do CVs. They have taught our members, and which is something very productive.
Yes.
We've taught our members also how to be able to communicate very well, to be able to translate scientific information into simple advice for their patients, and also to the policymakers. Because again, if you're not able to translate that complex scientific information, to a simple manner to a patient, then of course you'll not be able to translate, the change of behavior that you really require, or even change of attitude for them to adopt the nutrition information you're giving them. So that's what we have done. And I'm proud when I say these things, because it makes me happy.
Yes.
And to all the members who have assisted me in this journey, I'm really proud of them too.
Yes.
Because it's work that cannot be done by one person. It needs a whole team to be able to achieve it. Yeah. And I have a wonderful team that have served us for the 4 consecutive years.
Yes.
Some are now alumni. They're doing great in the field, professional in the nutrition field right now.
Yes.
And we are proud when we see that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now, just on a light note, you say the current generation is tech savvy. I think I'm impressed with the fact that you actually brought in professionals to tech the community through how to do CV, and not just logging into ChatGPT and inputting your credentials, and we have a CV outside there, which is a plus on your side.
Thank you.
So now, given that it's been 4 years and it's starting a new association, as you call it, your baby, what are some of the challenges you've faced as KENDSA, and how have you been able to navigate it?
Okay, we had a number of challenges, especially in the beginning.
Yes.
I remember in our first conference at University of Nairobi, 2023, we had, until date, we have financial constraints, because again, to run an association, especially conferences and all these workshops and symposium, you need money.
Yes.
And events really cost a lot. So that's one of the constraints. But in the first conference, we never had any sponsor, because again, we were new, no one knew what we can do, our potential. We were just gazing, see if we can really make something out of it.
Yes.
But surprisingly enough, in that first conference, we attracted 1,100 students who participated physically, University of Nairobi, physically. And I'm happy that Dr. Kera has been our guest of honor in all those conferences. He's opened all those conferences.
Yes.
So despite the fact that we do not have sponsors, and the students really came in large numbers from all over the country. In fact, that's where now I saw a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And I knew this is something good that we are doing. But despite the financial constraint, I can say that I'm also proud that we've had partners who have seen our potential, have agreed to work with us.
Yes.
And I want to, proudly want to say, I want to thank, of course, Brookside Limited that has stood with us for the 2 conferences. Yes. We have Teams Nutrition who stood with us for the 2 conferences. Remember, this is a student association, and when someone tries to accept to hold your hands and work with you, it means they have seen what you're doing and the impact that you're creating.
Yeah.
And this year, much more came in. We had Shalina Healthcare that came into our head, the big time in the last conference that took place last month.
Yes.
Soya Africa came in also big time, Farmer's Choice, and of course KNDI as our regulator. So as you can see, as the years goes by, as we're growing, the industry and the market are seeing what you're doing, and they are seeing our potential. Because if we're not doing something positive, or we're not bringing a positive change, all these partners will not be working with us.
It's true.
So which means there's something they've seen. That's why they accepted to work with us. So that challenge was there, but we are managing through our partners, and we are very grateful to them. But nevertheless, we have challenges that are facing our members, which I think is also good to bring them out and see how. And of course, I'll give the solutions that how we are trying to mitigate those challenges.
Yes.
Although they are, in small ways, so we may need also assistance in bigger ways.
Yes.
One of the challenges that our members are facing is, the attachment slots. Attachment is one of the legal requirements for our students for them to graduate.
Yes.
You cannot graduate if you don't undertake attachment. And of course, before you take an attachment, you have to be indexed.
Yes.
Yeah. And KNDI, one of the requirements is that when you admitted as an dietetic student, you have to get indexed immediately.
Yes.
Now, why I'm saying attachment slots is kind of limited. If you look at the number of students that are pursuing nutrition dietetics in all the 90 accredited institutions, that's a big number.
Yes.
But look at the number of public facilities, even private facilities, the number is actually cannot accommodate all that big number. So sometimes you find some students miss attachment slots, so they wait for others to finish their turn for them to go for their turn. Now, our appeal would be to be able to, to request, KNDI as a regulator to accredit more institutions, more attachment institutions, especially the private sector and most of the NGOs, so that we can be able to uptake that the growing number of students who are pursuing this course, because the number is big. Yeah, another challenge, which I think has been there for the longest time, is lack of recognition of the nutrition students, or even professionals, if I may say.
Yes.
For our students, when they go for clinical nutrition in the hospitals, they are not fully well understood by the members of the healthcare cadre.
Yes.
And most of our roles as nutritionists has been taken over by other healthcare professionals like nurses, physicians, or medical doctors, because they have not really understood what is it that we do. Some up to date think that we are, caterers, or we are food service men and women, up to date. And I think it's misunderstanding our roles, or just maybe we are being marginalized. But I think that that's something that, so much has happened, positively to be able to get us being recognized, of course, through, of course, our regulator. And of course, the Minister of Health, we have the Director of Nutrition Service. So they have made us to be recognized in some way. Yes. But still, we have that problem persisting. So what we've done in our own small capacity is to be able to link the nutrition students to already the esteemed professionals in the industry, because we have professionals who served here for 4 decades, 5 decades, and they've created their mark, and they're well known, and their work can be seen. So we've paired our students with them. And if you come to our conferences, those are usually our keynote speakers.
Yes, true.
Even the recent conference, we had Professor Judith Waudo, Professor Judith Kimiwe. These are strongholds in the industry. We are talking 5 decades. In our first conference, we had Professor Ruth Onyango. So these are giants. So when we pair them, then they are able to take our students through the hospital hierarchy. So they can be able to understand that if you really want to match up to the other healthcare professionals, for them to respect you, then you also have to have your, knowledge at hand.
Yes.
No one will respect you if your content is nil.
True.
I mean, your nutrition is here, but what content do you have? You may have content, but how confidently are you bringing out the content?
Articulating.
How confident are you articulating? Because sometimes you go to a clinical world round.
Yes.
We have the other cadres. We have a nutritionist, but when they're turned to speak out, they're timid. Now, who will recognize you if you are timid? Yeah. So the reason why we are pairing up with these giants in the field, so that they can build our confidence and to keep that low self-esteem that majority of us do have. Yeah. And I can say we've done quite a bit, but of course we'll need much assistance on that, so that you can have a more confident, workforce.
Yes.
Who cannot be pushed around and who know their worth.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I think that's it's a critical point, because even currently we have also just people purportedly creating nutrition information, and they haven't gone through the nutrition. So it's a food for thought there.
Sure, it is.
So now, apart from the challenges, what are some of the opportunities that you can clearly highlight that KENDSA has had, and how has KENDSA navigated the opportunities?
Right. Well, we have opportunities, but opportunities arises from, challenges or low-hanging fruits.
Yes.
Where you see a low-hanging fruit that has not been well invested on,
Yes.
that becomes an opportunity. And one of those is, our curriculum. Our curriculum has been so standard for quite a long time.
Yes.
Sometimes its curriculum is kind of sluggish to the global trend. For example, I can give you an example right now. The global trend is talking about nutrigenetics and nutrigenomics.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yes, I
But
do.
our curriculum has not yet absorbed that. So by the time we are aligning, the trend will have changed to something different. Again, currently even the global trend is technology. We're having nutrition, artificial intelligence, and all those kind of things. But our curriculum has not yet absorbed those aspects. We also had the issue, a long time we used to talk about double burden of malnutrition.
Yeah.
Now we are talking triple burden of malnutrition. But in some way, you'll find some curriculum has not yet absorbed that. So our standard curriculum may be sluggish to the global trend. And that's why the idea of conferences came in. Because through the conferences where now you can learn what's happening globally. Yes. And to be able to adjust yourself accordingly. Yes. Because see, our university, most of the time they renew or they review the curriculum after every 5 years. I believe so in most of the institutions. But science is very dynamic. Science changes every year, or even after every 6 months. So if you wait for 5 years to review it, I mean, sometimes you'll find what you're putting in the content, by the time you're having it approved, it's already, it's already changed to something different. Yes. So what we need or requesting is if these reviews can be done even yearly, so that we can catch up. Yes. Even this was an aspect of pharmacognosy. Pharmacognosy is where you appreciate the herbal medicine. And that's where we can also play as nutritionists. But up to today, I can tell you, our curriculum have not yet appreciated or recognized pharmacognosy. So you can see it's kind of sluggish in a way. So which we are not yet, meeting up with the global trend. Yes. And that's why the idea of the conference is coming. Like recently we had a conference on triple burden of malnutrition. So for those who are not aware of that we had moved to triple, at least now they were aware. In our second conference at Egerton, our theme was nutrition and technology. Artificial in technology and those kind of things. And we had wonderful presenters from Pakistan, India, and all the way from Afghanistan. These are professionals in this field. And in fact, the professional in Afghanistan was a former student of Egerton University. So they're already opening up to what's happening to the world in terms of technology and nutrition, which our curriculum has not yet adopted. So through conferences now, then students are able now to open their eyes and mind much wider. So that was a low-hanging fruit, but that has turned to be an opportunity. And which now we can say, we request the universities to review the curriculum much more often. 5 years is quite a stretched period. Yearly maybe, so that we can catch up with the global trends. Yeah, so that we can also compete with the international market. Otherwise, if Europe is doing nutrigenomics and nutrigenetics, and I'm stuck with malnutrition, will I really compete? I will not. And we need our students and professionals to match up to the international market, where if I'm licensed here, I can also work in Europe. Yes. Yeah, so that because my knowledge is at par with the knowledge on the other continent. Yeah, so that's one of the opportunities. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So now, through your experience in leadership, what can you say is a critical value or skill that a student should garner earlier as they progress into their careers?
Well, okay, there are a number of them, but one that stands out is evidence-based communication. Yeah. No, we've had in the past where, even in our media, in the social media, or even in televised media or broadcast, people coming in, they speak, nutrition information. Most times they are not scientifically backed, they are not evidence-based, but they are very confident while speaking them out. Yes. So we end up misleading a whole generation. Yeah. So from where I stand, one of the strongest skill that you can acquire as a student is evidence-based scientific information that you can able to communicate it confidently. But then even as you communicate to the public, you are able to, break it down, that complex scientific information, break it down into simpler way that you can advise even a grandmother in the village or even a primary school child to be able to, change their behavior, change their attitude towards food, and of course also inform policy, because most of the policy makers are also not nutritionists.
Yes.
In fact, I don't think we have any policy makers and nutritionists right now. In Senate, there's none. In Parliament also, there's none. In Senate, I know there's one, but is by association because the spouse is a nutritionist.
Okay.
The Senate, yeah, that I know. But see, that does not make them one.
Yes.
So for them to understand what we do and our role and our scope, then we should be able to communicate our roles, what we do, into simple language that can be able to understand, so they can appreciate our roles and give us policies that are friendly to our profession. So evidence-based communication, and also to be able to communicate that information in a simpler manner that the patients or the general public can be able to understand and absorb in. That, for me, that is one of the best skills that I can ever wish for any aspiring nutrition student or even professional to have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So, as the president of KENDSA, what is your vision for KENDSA?
Well, my vision for KENDSA, that shoes is too big. Do you know at one point when sorry, let me digress a little bit.
It's okay.
In 2022, when this idea came about, I had to sell it to a few friends of mine. And because they were my friends, they bought into it. But then we went and sold it to some of our senior friends in the profession, and they were really against it. In fact, they discouraged us from pursuing it. But see, I always believe that if someone discourages you from something, it means there's something in it.
Okay. That's a very interesting way to look at it.
That's how I look at it. If I come to you with something or idea and you try to discourage me so hard, then it means there's something in it. So I need to pursue even harder. So I pursued and we pursued. And one of the visions that I want to leave behind, because I mean, one day there will be someone else to sit in the seat of president, right? You cannot be there forever. And it's that student body, so someone else has to fit in the shoes. I'm just doing a caretaker job right now so that people can say it's done. So whoever comes in, they have a blueprint or where to refer and how things were done. So my vision is to have a nation or a country where our citizens, have an access to a well-informed nutritionist. Where every citizen has an access to a well-informed nutritionist. And a well-informed nutrition dietetics workforce, which in so many ways we kind of lack. Yeah, that is my vision. And that vision starts from KENDSA, because if the student is well-informed, if the student has all, the international standings of nutrition, if the student knows what is happening in our region in terms of nutrition internationally, and they're able to communicate that scientific information, that complex scientific information to simple terms, then that is the right workforce that I envision, for me and for KENDSA. Yeah, and since if they become that kind of student, then of course they become a very profound professional.
True.
And that is my vision.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Thank you.
So just before we wrap it up, what would you want the viewers or the students who are listening or watching us to take home? What are some key things, areas that should, even people who are aspiring to do nutrition, what is the key takeaway for them?
First of all, I want our students and those even aspiring to undertake nutrition dietetics is that nutrition is a medical course. It's a healthcare course. It's a scientific course. That it involves a lot of biological sciences. So it's not a cooking course. It's not a course where you meal plan or something. Well, it's part of it, but it's not entirely it. So we want that when you come here, you appreciate this course because it's a medical course where you are coming to assist patients, to help them, to have a very good quality, productive life. In fact, we deal more in preventative, medicine than curative. And preventative, that's it. It's more powerful even than curative.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's where, we have less investments. But again, that's why we are here, to make that noise, to increase the investments. So another thing also I want to tell our students is that KENDSA is here to assist you, to grow with you. KENDSA is a national premier platform for empowering and aspiring nutrition students, and to be able to link you from classroom to the real world experience. So you can join us from wherever chapter that you are in. Our numbers, I can give the number. Can I share my number?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, my number is 0733-973-038. You can reach out. I can take you through how to be our member, join us. In fact, even be part of the leadership of the association. And it will open you to borders, not just regional, but even intercontinental.
Yes.
We shall link you to professionals who've been there, who are doing great things, and you will appreciate the course more. Sometimes what we hear outside there, people talk a lot of negative things because they're not in. But once you are in and you see what we are doing and what the course can really do, the profession actually, you will change your mindset.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I want to tell our students. They should be hopeful, because there's a better thing. The better days are coming.
Are yet to come.
Are yet to come, and they're actually coming very soon.
Yes, and it's better than yesterday.
Better. Yeah, and in fact, what we want, Madam Laura, is we're encouraging our nutrition students and professionals to vie for political positions. Do you know why? Where are policies made? Policies are made in parliament, right?
Yes.
Now, if we don't have a representative from a profession in those kind of seats, then we will defend or talk our issues. Of course, we have a regulator and we have director of nutrition services, but then they are the masses of the policymakers. So if we have 2 or 3, nutrition professionals as policymakers, then that's an upper hand that we have. So we also need them to go for these political seats. Yeah. So, we'll support. If they can't, I will go for one.
Yay! Yeah. That's a nice one.
I'll go for one. Yeah, because we need to change the profession for the better.
Yes, true.
Apart from just being in the clinical setup, we also need those who can be in those political positions to make things happen and to bring policies that are favorable to our, profession.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now, just in a snapshot, impact.
Yes.
KENDSA. Impact and KENDSA.
Well, KENDSA, we've been there actively operating for 3 years.
Yes.
We've, done our book checks, and we've done an audit and seen what we've done. Like I've mentioned, we've done about 350 webinars. And these webinars are not just locally, but also connecting our members to international professionals and even international students. And that's something very remarkable.
Yes, true.
Yeah, because we don't just become local, we are now becoming international. We have done, our impact, we've done 3 consecutive national scientific conferences. That's a big impact, something which has never been done before in the profession. First conference attracting 1,000 students. Second one in Egerton, 600. The other one in KU, about 450 to 500 thereabout, plus those joining virtually.
Yeah.
And for the first time, we attracted our abstract we had 25 abstract presentation, all of them from professionals apart from 2 students. We had 4 PhDs doing abstract presentations, the rest master students, a few 2 undergraduates, out of the 25. So you can see we've really attracted, we've become a voice for people to come and want to participate in our conference.
Yes.
And that is one of the impacts, Yeah, and we are looking forward to do much more. In fact, we in the next year, we want to cross the borders and move to the Nyanza region, take our conference there, to be able to attract the institutions within those regions who sometimes find it difficult to come all the way. Yeah. So maybe to make our impact even much more powerful, maybe what we will humbly request our regulator is to do a request to all these institutions that have been accredited to allow their students to attend. Most institutions don't. Most institutions have been very rigid. So if we have, because this is part of coursework.
Yes.
This is academic, it's an academic experience. It should be part of coursework. Because most times conferences are attended by master students, but now this time we are giving undergraduate chance to experience. So it should be part of the academic calendar activity, and then they should know this is the date, and this date, all students from all institutions should facilitate their students to attend the conference, so the students get exposed.
Yes.
So that's maybe one of the humble requests I'll request our regulator to assist us in that, so that all these students can be able to gain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Omollo.
Thank you so much.
We've come to the end of our conversation today.
Thank you.
And to our viewers, thank you for joining us. Tune in every Thursday at 5 to 6 p.m. Goodbye. Have a lovely evening. And remember to eat in from your host, Wangara Laura.